Yeah. Yeah. When is it? Yeah, August 27th. This year? Yeah, I got time. Shit. Okay. All right. Okay. Come on. Oh, I'm gonna be late. Oh no. Okay. Oh god. All right. I'm gonna be late. Let's go. Oh god. All right. I'm gonna be late. Come on. We got this. We got this. Come on. Oh man. Oh god. I'm gonna be late. Oh, I'm gonna be late. Oh, I'm gonna be late. Oh man. Shit. Oh man.
It's the Tonight is a Night Show with Miles Morkri!
Love the energy. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Tonight is a Night Show with Miles Morkri. I'm Miles Morkri, and it's been 1 year since our former network forced us to halt production and, to make matters worse, gave our time slot to my nemesis, J. Harrison Weapon, and her food and travel show, Concealed Carry-On. And sometimes life gets you down. And it really grinds you into the dust. And it feels like there's no hope. And we here at TNS felt that way for a while until we were rescued by DVD's identical twin CEOs, Charity and Jeremy Acid. And they've given us a second chance here. And so that's why we're here tonight on the Deluxe Video Drift Twitch channel. And we'll see where it goes from here. So what is this show? Well, it's about process, and it's about trying. And the process is something that I think about every day. As a musician, I'm constantly thinking about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, and it's pretty exhausting. But I don't want to do anything else. And everybody who works on this show is an artist in some capacity. I'm a full-time musician and a composer, and there are so many things that I wish I had recognized earlier. But I think the main thing is that the process is the art. And that might sound, hoity-toity, but it's true. The process really is the art, and we should revel in it. It should be the thing that excites us the most. And our main segment, You Made It, is where myself and another artist talk about how immensely difficult and heart-wrenching and beautiful and fulfilling, and how fundamentally human the creative process is. And it's not an academic discussion. It is two people talking about the thing they really love to do and why they've chosen to pursue it. So that's the show. Well, that is part of the show. The Acids also requested that we try to be funny like iCarly. And no one has really ever accused me of being funny before, but I'm going to do my best. So the rest of the show is pretty much nonsense. It's probably not going to make much sense, but we're keeping it light. We're light on our toes, and also I think we just really want to make people happy. I mean, this show itself is a work of art. We have been working the past 6-7 months just to make this episode happen. And I'll tell you one thing: we're not doing the news. This is we're not like the other shows. Okay, we're not going to have some 10-minute like play-by-play of like witty comments on the past week. And that's why we film live from a bunker 50 miles away from the nearest civilization, which also separates us from any corporate interests. We don't take any corporate money to create this show. And for our ad slots, and I'm sorry to say there are ad slots, but the ads we give away for free to people we think are cool. And anyway, we've got a great show. We've got a lot of funny things and a lot of heartfelt things planned. And of course, our guest, Rebecca Sugar, will be talking later on in the program. But on behalf of everyone here at the Tonight is the Night show, as well as Charity and Jeremy Acid, we're glad you made it.
I've been invited by Miles to add a touch of much-needed class to their show. So this is a short plug for my game, Cryptmaster. Available now on PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox, and presumably a range of future platforms as yet undreamed of. Buy it now, or regret it at your leisure. That is all.
My name is Mia, and I'm an executive producer for the Tonight is a Night show with Miles Morkri. As you can see, I'm getting my nails done by my friend Tim at the Crown Spa Nails in Minneapolis. Tim's fee for speaking on camera is $10,000, so while I work on getting him that amount, he said it's okay that I do the voiceover today. The Crown Spa Nails is located at the corner of Hennepin and 27th in Uptown in the Wedge neighborhood. They are open during construction and during anything else. The thing I love about Crown Spa is that you can pretty much just let the artist that you get do whatever they want, and it always turns out great. I usually come in with a color in mind and nothing else, and then Tim does whatever he wants, and I'm always happy with the result. I really like getting a dip powder because even though they're pretty expensive, they last a really long time and look gorgeous. Today, Tim did a really cool blue cat eye design with these silver heart decals, and a month later, while I'm editing this video, they still look flawless. Call 612-886-2488 today and set up an appointment. Life's good at Crown Spa, especially when you don't question Tim and just let him do whatever he wants.
Hi, everybody. TNS is a live show, performed by live humans and watched by real live humans like you. And that we love. We love doing this, but we know that it comes with a lot of responsibility. Anything can happen when it's live. You can slip up, you could insult your parent company or the Acid family, or of course, you at home. So, to cover our bases, I've asked the team to sort of craft up any apology to any possible slip up or screw up that I might have now or for the rest of time. So I can have an uncancelability normally reserved for straight white male country singers. And I want to reiterate that I've never read this, but I know it's going to be from the heart. to my dearest fans, my treasured audience, my fansmily. I messed up. This is gonna be horrible.
Say it.
I've messed up. I made a fat L. There's no other way to say it. So I'm here today to apologize from the bottom of my heart. We all know exactly what I've done. You know, my friends and family know. I certainly know. My neighbor Greg does not, but he will soon. And I also know that I am not owed forgiveness. But I do hope to work towards being deserving of grace. So that's what I'm going to do. The first step towards atoning for the thing that I have done, that I am aware of and know about in great detail, is saying clearly out loud what it is that I did, which I will do very soon. Here I go. My behavior was not becoming of someone visiting a fine dining establishment, and it was especially inappropriate of one who had entered the hallowed halls of America's diner, as I did when I stepped into the inside of a Denny's restaurant on the afternoon of February 18th, 2025. I wish I could say that I was high, that I was drunk, that I was whacked out, that I was intoxicated on a mixture of sleeping pills and whatever it is they give you if you yell too much at a flight attendant about 5G and 9/11 on a long-distance airplane trip. I love all that stuff, but I was not any of those things. I was of sound physical, mental, and spiritual health. I was hydrated, too hydrated, and I had experienced a good 8 hours of sleep the previous evening, and the evening before that as well. What I had done, just minutes before entering the Denny's, was play a game of pickup basketball against a group of 12-year-old children at a nearby public basketball court. Why did I challenge them? Upon reflection, the only reason I can muster is that I thought they looked rude. Of course, I have now come to realize that they did nothing wrong to make me form such an opinion. That's on me. That was about what I was bringing to them. In any case, I did think they seemed super rude, and so I challenged them to hoop with the intention of humbling them on the court. And while they did not deserve my ire, they did receive a humbling. I say this not to brag, because again, they were 12-year-old children and I was and am an adult. But to establish a full record of my crimes, I must establish how badly they were wrecked. I went absolutely wild. There was no contest, only a vicious, one-sided beatdown. Soon they were crying. They were crying when I dunked over their heads. They were crying as I repeatedly snatched the ball from their grubby, disgusting little fingers. They were crying when I shouted insult after insult about their physical appearance and their puny childlike athletic abilities. But it did not end when our game was finished. I looked into their eyes, red and swollen from weeping, and I demanded to take them to the Denny's across the street for a celebratory brunch. And what were they to celebrate? Having interacted with greatness for the first time in their short, pathetic lives. I want to reiterate that I am not proud of any of this. I just want to tell it like it is. A full and complete reckoning. Radical honesty. So I marched the children and another unrelated group of children who started following us into the Denny's, and I began to shout. Even louder than when I was shouting trash talk during our b-ball game. Louder, perhaps, than I have ever shouted in my life. Look at these tiny losers. They just lost a basketball game. They're rude, and they also cannot play basketball. Even the ones I don't recognize. Tears come to my eyes now, just thinking about the patrons whose meals I was interrupting. They were They were just there to enjoy a pancake and syrups with their family. But they ended up a captive audience to something much darker. Still, I must continue my tale. Then, just as the waitstaff asked me to leave, the parent of one of my child nemesis arrived and demanded I get away from their son. I demanded they be better at raising a kid who doesn't suck at basketball. And then, before they could respond, I burst into ugly, racking sobs. Why was I crying? Perhaps I had suddenly realized what I was doing wrong. But if I search my heart, I think the real reason is people seemed angry at me, and that didn't feel very nice. The waitstaff repeated their request that I leave, but I just fell to the floor and had to be dragged out. They tied a tablecloth around my ankles and pulled me along the floor while I made a high-pitched squealing noise. Also, I tried to steal a branded Denny's mug by the entrance, but only managed to knock it onto the floor. This failure made me cry even harder. No amount of apologies can undo what I did. Perhaps you watching this apology at home happen to be forgiveness pilled. But no matter what you think of me, I will be taking steps to put good back into the world. I will be volunteering at the Denny's Pancake Foundation, making pancakes for needy billionaires every Sunday for the next 8 years as a first step in making things right. And to the children I was so cruel to, who were so bad at playing basketball, I say this: you can have 6 or 7 of those pancakes as well on me. Namaste. So our next segment is, one second, give me one moment. Our next segment started as an idea after the failure of Twitter as a platform. Many of us in the creative industry were upset. We use it to get work, but none more upset than my dear friend Adam Carey, because he had no place to stick his sick thoughts into. And he needs to dump. I've referred to him as kind of the big dumper in my life. And so we've decided to give him a platform on the Tonight is the Night show. So without further ado, here's Adam with his sick little brain and his illegal thoughts.
It's a shame that as you age and grow taller, your life gradually features far fewer earthworms. We should teach children to begin saying their goodbyes to the worms as soon as they reach a certain height. Think of all the adults who never got closure in this way and instead became fitness influencers.
When Miles asked me to produce the obituary section of their late night show, I first thought to myself, what the hell does that mean? However, I'd only recently been hired onto the show's writing team, and I wanted to do a good job and see my family again. Feeling motivated, I got to work on the obituaries assignment right away. I'd never heard about a late night show doing obituaries, but the more I thought about it and the more I worried about my family's safety, I realized it made perfect sense, and I started feeling lucky to be working for such a great, inventive company led by the incomparable Jeremy and Charity Acid. Thank you, Acid family. If you think about it, late night shows by definition happen when it's dark out, which is night time, and that's scary because it's when zombies come out and your mommy and daddy aren't there to protect you. So you have to stay awake or you'll die. That's why ever since I was a little kid, I've been staying awake at night and sleeping during the day so I don't die, which is an experience many of us can relate to. So, because they take place during dark time, late night shows are a celebration of the nighttime, which is when you stay awake and defy death by looking at live television. And what better way to defy death than an obituary in a newspaper or on a website? It's really the best way to give death the middle finger. So imagine my excitement when I realized the powerful death-defying combination of having your obituary on a late night show. Not only is it your face and name being perceived after your death, but it's happening at night time, which is when the sun dies and we have to pray that it rises again, otherwise it won't. At this point, I realized there was only one thing left to do: find someone who wanted their obituary on a late night show, then kill them and make their dream come true by putting their obituary on the Tonight is a Night Show with Miles Morkri. I felt bad about reminding my landlord he was going to die one day, and I felt like I should never talk to anyone again after that experience. So I headed to my local cemetery to punish myself, since it's the space I feel most uncomfortable in because it's filled with people who are at peace with death. Couldn't be me. I started thinking I should have asked for more direction a long time ago at the beginning of this project, and I've known Miles for a lot of years, so I feel like by now I should be more comfortable asking them for help. But because this was my first assignment and I didn't want the network to hurt my mom or dad or 13 brothers and sisters, I didn't ask for help. At least when the network comes to find me, I'll be ready to bury right here. I guess I've made my peace with death in a way, which is not very late night show of me, but too bad. Sorry, Mom and Dad and my siblings. See you in hell. Thanks for watching Obituaries with Mia, Part 1. I don't know if there will be a Part 2. Good night.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back. I'm just going to fill this up quick. I hope you're enjoying the show, and I'm certainly having a good time. There's 3 other people in this room with me, and they're giggling sometimes, and that's giving me a decent amount of positive feedback. But it's like sometimes they're not laughing, and that is, I feel something, but I'll analyze that feeling later. So the time is now to acknowledge the elephant in the room. And I know we're all thinking it. It's the 3rd Avatar movie. Avatar, Fire and Ash. It's coming. And it feels charged, just to say. And to be honest, I'm pretty scared. I don't know what's going to happen, both in the world of Pandora, but also in my brain. There's a lot of uncertainty. But the good thing is you won't be alone, because we're reviving our old segment, The Road to Avatar, where we chart my psychological health in regards to James Cameron's Avatar franchise, along with the Tonight is a Night Show executive producer and accredited pop culture psychologist, Andrew Schenkman. We're going to bring him on right now, and Gunner's going to give me the signal when it's looking good. Andrew, you're on.
No, I'm on. Thanks, Miles. I keep telling you I am not a psychologist, registered or otherwise, but it's lovely to hear your voice again. Are you ready to get started?
Yes. Is this where we bring up the slideshow?
Yeah, yes, please. We'll just have this in the background. We'll
Got
get
it.
into the individual photos later, but this would be great to just have
Okay, so you're going to be kind
ambiently.
of tiny in the bottom, and that's okay with you.
Oh, you know what? In that case, let's hold off just for a little bit,
All right,
unless
we're
we've
going to
already
switch
done that.
back
That's fine.
actually. Yep, that's great.
Yeah. Before we get to the slideshow,
Yep.
obviously this went really badly before, and thank you for your apology off camera. But
Of course.
I wanted to rebuild, maybe take a different tact, and make sure before we really dig into the avatar to come that
Yeah.
we're working from a safe and supported mind state.
Yes.
So to that end, I just wanted to ask a couple more broad questions and really dig into both your relationship with Avatar, but your life before it.
Yeah, of course.
Can you tell me the strongest memory of your life pre-Avatar, pre-James Cameron's Avatar?
Right.
A strong memory. Yeah,
And
just anything.
yeah, and it's hard for me because it was obviously such a pivotal moment in my life.
Even something small.
Even
know.
something small. Okay. When I was 4 years old, I left my red Power Ranger. Okay, I left my red Power Ranger toy at my neighbor's house, and I left it there for the next 3 years. And I thought I had lost it, and I returned to that house 3 years later, and I returned to the house 3 years later when I was 7, and I discovered just the torso of the Power Ranger that I loved when I was 4 in the mouth of a baby. And I did unfortunately rip the Power Ranger out of the baby's mouth, and take it and walk out of the house. So I think that's kind of my
Sure.
strongest memory before James Cameron's Avatar.
Yeah, that's really potent stuff. Thank you.
Of course.
Let's jump ahead. I would like you to try and recall a physical sensation, something really material, really bodily that you had during your first watch of the first Avatar movie. I don't
Yeah.
know if it was in theaters, the feeling of the 3D glasses on your brow,
Yeah.
the seat cushion, yeah, anything you can give me. I really
Well,
want to place
can I give you a little bit
physically.
of background actually?
No.
Got it. So the first time I watched Avatar was with the person directing this episode, Gunnar Mercury, and their family, as well as I believe some of my relatives. And we watched it. I don't remember if it was in 3D. I think I had a headache. And I thought
Okay.
the first half was pretty good.
Okay. That's
And obviously,
good. I wanna
and like since then, obviously,
Right. Okay. Pain. Head pain.
head pain. That's right.
All right. This is more abstract, less about your personal history.
Uh-huh.
I just want to ask you the question: do you think you would make a good Avatar? A human through a technological process
Yeah.
becoming a Navi.
I'm not going to lie to you. I think I'd probably be
Please.
the best one.
The best.
And it's because I'm kind of already so attuned to my brain and my arms and my fingers and my legs. And so, I've always kind of thought that I was the best of the best. And I think in a really long Avatar body, I'd probably be like, I would be really, like, people would like me.
Your belief in that, do you think, is that why you played so much of the Ubisoft Avatar game? It's okay. You don't need to answer that. I know that you have been avoiding the trailer, the recently released trailer for Avatar Fire and Ash.
I have.
Do you know why that is? Could you put it into words, or is it just a behavior that
Honestly,
we can't put a lot
honestly,
into?
I've been scared.
Sure, yeah.
I heard
That's
that
healthy,
they're
that's
doing.
normal.
I mean, just based on the title, Fire, right, and Ash, and that.
Right,
And I
scary
got so
things.
used to kind of the tropical jungle of the first and of course now the water landscape of the second. And it took me a long time to get to Sigourney Weaver playing a young child.
Yeah.
And so I really don't know how I'm going to be able to grow accustomed to this new world. I guess, part of this, I'm getting lost, but honestly, it's weighed pretty heavily.
Sure, I appreciate that. Well, with that in mind, I wanted to take a step towards it. I was wondering if taken a couple screen caps of the trailer.
Okay.
In
want-
low resolution.
Okay.
If we could bring up that slideshow.
Okay, and now we're going to bring up the slideshow.
Yeah, if we could just
we're
go through a couple of them.
All right, I'm seeing it now. Do you want me to point out what I'm seeing?
This is just my desktop's background. And so I'm going to walk you through a couple of these images, and then we're just going to sort of chart, how you're feeling as we're going through them. And if at any point, if you're feeling like it's too much, we can be done. It'll be a big problem for the program, but obviously you as a person are more important than that.
Got it.
Than
Thank
entertaining
you.
the people.
Thank you for
Are you
validating.
ready?
Yep.
Are you ready to begin?
I am ready to begin, yes.
Okay, so first we're going to need to discuss... No. The avatar feeling system that I've got. Now, this is really just like a loose rubric, but I'm going to keep this on screen. As you'll notice, the two axes go between repulsion and immersion and fear and excitement. And you don't need to necessarily use these words or bounce off them, but I'm going to keep it on screen in case you need something to reach for to help explore your feelings. So without further ado, let's dive in.
All right.
How are you feeling?
On the
just
Matrix?
Seeing that. Yeah, I mean, obviously you were talking about the blues and greens of the previous films. There's
Honestly,
the color red here.
I like the color red. I think that is in line with my, the black and the red. That's kind of in line with my visual aesthetic.
Sure.
I'm gonna go ahead and say the spines on the headpiece. If I think too much about it, that doesn't feel like super great. If I'm checking in with myself, I'm gonna go ahead and say probably about half, like a quarter to excitement and like a couple notches down, repulsion wise.
Yeah, sure. Too real. Awesome. Okay, we'll just move along. That's great data. So actually, if you could just describe, especially considering the low resolution here, we could do that together because these images are a little abstract, what we're seeing here. Or maybe I will. We've got a Navi riding a flying creature, one of the moons or the other planets.
Yeah.
In the background. Yeah,
Yep.
What are you feeling when you see this,
Well,
but on the rubric or elsewhere?
Right. I'm feeling really immersed, but I do think the vacuum of space kind of scares me.
Scary, sure.
And I also think of Jupiter, because that planet looks a lot like Jupiter with the big storm.
Swirly. Yeah.
And so I'm going to go ahead and say all the way up on immersion, straight. Yep, that's it.
Fear.
Okay, yeah, we'll say a little fear. I'm a little scared.
Yeah. Speaking of scared, this is Sigourney Weaver's second Avatar
she's back.
character. I believe Kiri, clutching her mouth.
Okay.
Perhaps tears on her face.
Yeah.
Looking through the leaves of trees. Tell me how you're feeling.
I would consider myself kind of an empathetic person, and so I'm going to go pretty far on the fear, but I'm pretty immersed as well. So I would say probably solidly in the middle of that left quadrant.
Yeah.
Upper left quadrant, yeah.
All right. We'll just keep moving along. So this is what appears to be the Navi from the first shot with the quills and the headpiece, and perhaps a team of other Navi approaching.
Right.
human military systems, and
Right.
I think Stephen Lang's Avatar character as
Right.
well.
Stephen Lang's back. That
Yeah, what are you feeling?
I'll say that the thing that really freaks me out is the fourth. If we're going left to right, the fourth avatar closest to camera on from the left, that one's looking kind of freaky to me, and I'm getting freaked out. I think the composition of the shot is pretty good. I like the fog. The lighting is nice. I like kind of the silhouettes happening as well. But I do feel kind of repulsed just by that weird, the lanky one. And so I'm going to go kind of halfway down repulsed and into excitement a little bit.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're wrapping up here.
Oh, no.
This is our last image.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, you know. What do you got for me?
I don't know if I'm ready, but I don't know if I'll ever be ready. And so we're going to go, sometimes I wish that fear and excitement they could also share kind of a fifth quadrant, if you will.
That's interesting. If you can push beyond, the
yeah, so
binaries
let's say we're
Avatar
right in
feeling
the center,
system.
but I'm also lifted up on the z-axis.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Miles, thank you. Thank you for stepping back onto the road to Avatar with me. And I wish you and the rest of your audience, a wonderful show. And, remember, you don't walk along this road alone. As long as I'm on this planet or any other planet, I'm with you. So
Thank you so much.
Look forward to having this chat again. I'll send you my bill in an email.
Okay, great. And I love being charged for this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you insisted on it.
I insisted that I pay. Well, great. Everybody, give it up for Andrew. Thank you so much again. And I believe we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Ben and welcome to Field and Foley. We head out into nature to record everything from the echo of abandoned mine shafts to the calming rush of rivers. And we will take you behind the scenes to show how those sounds are transformed and brought to life in video games, movies and more. We'll talk to the beautiful sound humans behind the arts, from sound designers and composers to Foley artists and field recorders. But it's not just nature. We capture everyday and not so everyday sounds too. Sometimes it gets messy, sometimes it gets loud, and sometimes, it even gets a little dangerous. So if you're into sound, stories, and a bit of adventure, join us on YouTube, Blue Sky, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Unholy love child of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Glee. It's so easy to play that even your dumbest friend can do it. Not for people who hate fun. From the immature mind of a seasoned animation writer comes a world where brain-eating mutant zombies shuffle towards you and open their undead mouths to sing. Welcome to Acapella Apocalypse. Join our Kickstarter campaign and don't miss your chance to get your GleeCon. Visit wearesogonadie.com for all the details.
Welcome back, folks. This is the only segment that I have written nothing for, and none of the writers touched it, mainly because I told them to stay away. So there's nothing on this. I have a blank piece of paper here that was the monologue bullet points, and what I'm going to do is teach you something about music. And so for those that don't know, I do. At one point, I was teaching around to like 20 to 25 students per week in piano composition or voice. Now that number is significantly less. It's around 10 to 12 per week. But I figured I would make you all my new student. And so I've kind of waffled on what I... kind of waffled on what I want to do. And so what we're going to learn about is scales. And you have to stay with me, okay? So what I'm going to draw right now is a piano, all right? And I'm going to draw all of these little lines. And we're going to fill in the keys like so. I drew on the table, and that's fine. So I'm going to write C, okay? So that's our C right there, okay? And we're going to be dealing with a root of C. So we have two primary scales that everybody kind of knows about, right? We've got the major scale, and then we have a natural minor scale, okay? So I'll play that for you. We're just going to leave that. So this is on the violin setting. Okay, see, this is confusing to me. We got to start here. That's our major scale, okay? It goes whole step, I got this whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Okay, now remember that. I will quiz you tomorrow. And then we also have a minor scale. Okay, and this is called the natural minor scale, and it's part of our modes. Okay, so down here, if I go down 3 scale degrees, or the notes of the scale, we find our relative minor, okay, which is A minor. Oh boy. That's our relative minor. It's a naturally occurring minor scale. That's what we call it, natural minor. Okay? There are some other minor scales, but I'm not going to get to them right now. But what I want to do is talk about 2 of my other favorite scales. Okay? And they happen within the C major scale, which means we're talking about modes. Okay? Modes. These are the modes of the major scale. And a mode is basically saying, I'm going to start the C major scale on a different note than C. So if I start the C major scale, but start it on D, it's going to have a different sound. Okay? That means we have a raised 6th in there. That gives us kind of this light feeling while still being in a minor scale. That's one of my other favorite minor scales, because we can play... You know, it's kind of got that Renaissance feeling. We hear it a lot in video games for like tavern sounds and things like that. The other scale that I really love within the major modes is our 4th scale degree mode, which is called Lydian. And that's right, all of these have names. C, Ionian, D, Dorian, E, Phrygian, F, Lydian, G, Mixolydian, A, Aeolian, B, Locrian. Okay? And again, I'm going to test you on this tomorrow, and you cannot look anything up. So we're starting on F. Okay, and that's our 4th scale degree. The reason I like this one quite a bit we get that raised 4th. and the keyboard died. So what we get is da da da. That's the beginning of the Simpsons theme. I hope that doesn't get us muted. But that half-step relationship in there, really, that half-step, it's gone. The half-step relationship in there makes it feel lifted, and it's still a major scale. And so you can get da 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 da. So you have that lifted kind of mysterious sound. That's why it's commonly used in themes for like a mysterious forest or something kind of, supernatural might be happening, but it maybe not be bad. It's like it's kind of the sound of fairies. And we hear it a lot. It's the theme to Lost Woods, which I'm not going to sing, but you can look that one up, Lost Woods from Ocarina of Time. It's used quite a bit. So those are two modes that I like, which of course are major modes. And specifically, we're in the C major scale. And what else did I cover? A minor is the relative minor of C major. And so next time we're going to cover tritone substitutions and special function dominants as well. But if you have any questions, don't ask me because I can't see them. But send me a DM, and also, send me Venmo or something. Anyway, this is my keyboard. This is the thing that died, and that's it for this one. And I guess I have to transition very smoothly into our next segment. And I feel like I'm getting too mad about this right now. So let's take a step back. Oh. I'm just kidding, all right? There we go, yeah. So our next segment is our main segment of the show, which is You Made It. And I talked about it in the monologue, but making art is hard. And I think it is good to celebrate the process of making art, and those people who have been through it. It's great to learn from them, but it's also just me personally fun to talk about, because if you are friends with me in real life, you know that this is like the thing that I love talking about most on the whole planet is the process, and I'm really annoying about it. And none of my friends really want to talk to me about it. So I'm glad that I have created this whole show just to talk to other people who want to talk to me. The first guest of our show is Rebecca Sugar, who is known for their work on Adventure Time and creating Steven Universe, and a musician and animator, and just such a prolific creator, and overall just a wonderful person. Rebecca, you made it. So I think we can steer this into our first official question, which was how does it feel to start completely fresh on a new piece of art? And I usually describe it, I teach music, and I usually describe it to students as like the reduction of infinity. A blank canvas is the scariest thing. How do you confront the initial hurdle?
Yeah, this comes up a lot. People say this about animation too. They say, in animation you can do anything.
Yes.
And I don't want to do anything. I want to do something, right?
Yeah.
It's like you could say there are limitless possibilities, but there are a lot of limits. And to me, the art form is choosing what your limits are going to be. I think it's really challenging starting with that blank page. I like to think of the problem. I can't just jump into finding solutions. I need to know what I'm solving for first.
Yes.
So I try to create limitations for myself and then enjoy those pushing the limits that I've
Yeah.
given to myself. I need the problem first so I can start finding the solutions.
Yeah. Right. I feel like I have a cheat code for it, at least with music composition, which is I have a template project that I open up every time, and it has a piano and one note written into the track. And then
I like that.
yeah, so it allows me to be like, okay, it's not empty, and now I have this little note that I'm going to move around and see what I want to do with it. Or maybe I'll just go in and delete the note. Similar to how, like, I've heard it like in Blender. I don't know anything about Blender other than it starts with a default cube, and you have to delete the default cube and make a new one. So
Nice. So it's not a blank.
yes, I think that makes it a little less daunting, and then you kind of have to find the fun. This goes into the next question, which is, at least in my experience, we don't really know what the art is about until we're like halfway done, or even almost all the way done with it. So like specifically to your album, well, if you'd want to introduce your album that's coming out on August 29th, and then talk about how it came to be.
Yes, the album is called Lonely Magic. It comes out on the 29th. The single from the album, Hill to Die On, came out on August 15th with a music video. My first live action music video, which that was really fun. But yes, it's my sophomore album. It's very different from Spiral Bound, which was my first album. And
How would you
it's
describe
about
How would you describe its different?
I wanted a lot more room for Jeff Ball to do. I wanted to do something a lot more cinematic, and I basically tried to treat my story the way I would treat one of the cartoon characters' stories, with all of the drama and Broadway influence, and it's a rock opera. It has a continuous story that runs through it.
Wow.
And it's been really challenging. Like I said, it's even with the first album, it's been hard to figure out how to get there and kind of tell a personal story the way I tell those stories. And then also I think I needed a little distance from the experience. So yeah, Lonely Magic is about my experience as a working artist. Animation has origins in parlor and stage magic. And so I just have these very complicated feelings about the ways that I've dedicated my life to this optical illusion.
Yeah.
But also the animation has created all of my most important relationships, and it sort of keeps influencing, encompassing my personal life. And so I wanted to talk about, I think it's very related to what you're talking about on this show, throughout just, the process of making the art that I've made over the last 15 years has come with this roller coaster of just what was going on behind the scenes.
Right.
And there are little bits of that story inside of all the cartoons that I made through the characters, but Lonely Magic, I'm putting in all the pieces that weren't there in the show and connect dots between the story that was going on in those songs, especially Love Like You, which we wrote over multiple years when I was just really going through it. So, and it starts in art school, and then it ends with what I've concluded, at least at this moment, from the experience I had, which was a commencement speech. I gave a commencement speech to an art college in Maine, and so I wrote it as a song because I've written a lot more songs than speeches, and that I just really wanted to convey what I meant to the students, because I think this is a very difficult time to be graduating and looking forward to a career in commercial art, or fine art, or just a career in art right now. This was not an elevator pitch.
No, no. This is it's perfect. I think that conveys a lot of what you want to say with the album. And it also sounds very ambitious, especially going from your last album, which was, what was it, 6 tracks?
Yes, this is 7. They're much longer.
Yeah.
I had to shake the habit of writing 30-second songs for animated TV,
Yeah.
which is sort of jingle-sized. But also, the Spiral Bound songs were totally inward-facing. I didn't know if I was ever going to share those songs. And so this I approached very differently. I started with the song Hill to Die On, which was written for Toby Jones's movie AJ Goes to the Dog Park, which is this really funny micro-budget indie comedy. That song is the end credits, and that was the first song that I wrote for the album. And he came to me and said he said he felt he had, in a way, the film had ended up being about his Cartoon Network experience, and so he wanted a song that captured captured this feeling of sort of, how do I explain it? Waking up 10 years later and you've devoted your entire life to this work, and suddenly you're 10 years older.
Yeah.
And then you look back on all of it and you're so burned out, but you would do it again because it was the best, most fascinating time. But it just flew by. Yeah. And so I tried to capture that in this song, and that really kicked everything off, which was like, oh, how do I work forward and backward from being in the thick of it, doing that work and pouring your heart and soul into it, and how did I get there, and where did I end up? And so that's really what kicked it off. Remind me how the question started.
Well, I was just about to ask. So it was for this movie. So what I really want to know is how do you remember how it exactly started? Do you remember if you put down a chord or a melody or a word first?
Yes. Well, I did have the thought. I had when I was working on Spiral Bound, I now think in terms of like giant franchises, because I've been trained to work on. I was doing like the Steven's show and the games and the books and everything simultaneously. So as I was working on Spiral Bound, I was already thinking about wanting to do the next album, which I had thought about as a sequel called Spellbound, which would be about being a writer and magic. Like I had those general concepts, being a working artist and magic. And the first one had been about recovery, so then I thought the second one could be about the work. So the loose thought was there. And then when Toby came to me and he pitched me this idea, he kept describing getting lost in this work, which is, I mean, I agree. I was completely lost in the work. And so the first thing I had started for the song was I was working on a hook that was sort of like something to get lost in. It doesn't matter, Well, I don't even want to sing it because it's corny. It wasn't. I was like, yeah. I had. That's what I started. There's something to get lost in thought is where I started, and for months I was just kind of thinking about this hook, and it just did not feel right. And I was just like, oh, he's going to need this song. I've got to get this to him because he's working on his film, and his film was almost done. And then there was a night. There was a night where it was actually right before Spiral Bound came out, where I was sitting down and I was like, I have got to figure this out. And I was playing with that hook. And then I realized that the thing that wasn't working for me about it is that is not how it felt at that time at all. Like I had no perspective that I was getting lost in this work at all. In that moment, all I could think was, nothing matters but this. This is the most important thing. Everything else, can be set aside. My health, my life, all of it is just getting backburnered because I just have to charge towards this singular goal and prove that this thing is going to work. And as soon as I realized that, the whole song spilled out in a night.
Oh, wow.
All the entire lyrics, start to finish, the hook. It's actually such a strange song because, at least in my mind, the chorus for Hill to Die On is instrumental. It's a melody, which I wanted to be kind of like this feeling of just like the dizzying free fall of like I'm doing this, is this working? Yes, it's working. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so horrible. Like just that's I don't know if that would even count as a hook.
Yeah.
I've never quite written a song. I did. There were many songs for the show that kind of had to spill out in a night because I was working so quickly, and I couldn't work during the day because I was running the show. But this is the first time a personal song that's happened for that, and I
Yeah.
just kind of finished it in an absolute daze, and I recorded it into my phone, and I sent it to Toby, and I was just like, think this is, I think this might be the best song I've ever written. And he
Yes.
was like, I like it. So I was happy with it, but it kind of felt like it came out of thin
Yeah.
air. Crack this code of like, no, really remember how it felt
You're right.
inside of it, and also realizing that the damage it was doing to all of my closest relationships, and having to square that with the passion I had
Yeah.
for the work I wanted to do.
That I think that resonates really a lot with me too. I think I tend to get really, really focused on things, and
Yeah.
I will work myself to death, and then come out the other end. Usually, I will have injured myself somehow.
Yes, I totally
And
understand.
yeah, I injure myself. I don't see my friends. I've barely fed myself. And I'm upset that I did all of it, but I'm so happy that I finished it. And like I made it the way I wanted to make it. Yeah, so after you recorded the track in your like a voice memo, then I'm assuming now you've gone back and like fully produced it and fleshed it out.
Yes, I brought it to Jeff Ball, and we were talking about what it meant, and I really wanted it to depart a lot from the acoustic guitar version that I had recorded. I wanted it to feel like big,
Yeah.
and powerful, and we worked together to create this sort of. I wanted it to feel like a march. I liked the thought of like literalizing. The hill to die on is a term that I would always hear, which for used by showrunners to say like, oh, it's the thing that I won't compromise on. There are other things that I'll let go, but it's like I'm ready to lose everything to make this the way that it needs to be. So I had my hill to die on Steven Universe and
Yeah.
various, when I was writing for Adventure Time, things that I would just not bend on, no matter how extreme things got, or how much of a risk it would be. And so we started really treating it like an actual march, like a real
Oh,
battle,
interesting. Yeah.
with the actual marching drums. And then Stemage came in and did this solo. Actually, that was really fun to talk to him about, because I wanted this just soaring, and it was really meaningful to me to have him come because he had been, Greg Universe's guitar on the show. So having people who'd been with me working on the show, working on this song about working on the show was really meaningful. And I wanted a solo that would just like dive and soar and be scared and be furious, and just he said to me after, he's like, oh, when people usually describe when they describe what they want from a song, they don't talk about it like that. I kept talking about it in story and character terms, where I'm like, this part is the running, and this part is the fumbling, and this part is the reaching, and
Yeah.
there's insecurity here, but then there's confidence here. I just wanted to get that whole feeling of just like fighting really, really hard
Yeah.
for something. And he just did the most incredible piece for it.
Yeah.
That was fun too, because I got to show that ultimately to Toby, and he's like, "Oh, it's so incredibly different from the acoustic
Yeah.
version that I had sent him." But it really was. I had hoped that it could be that it could feel, big and dramatic,
Yeah.
and like a journey, and that was a big. This kicked off all of Lonely Magic, where I really felt like, I wanted that song to be a whole emotional arc and journey, and then I wanted the whole album to be one too. So that was the beginning of trying to create that, and then seeing that through. Some of the other tracks that are on there were actually written much earlier, but I included them because they were part of the story. One of them is even from 2009 when I first moved out, before I ever wrote anything for TV. But I placed it where it would go. It's like there's this one song about being in art school, then the song I actually wrote when I was just out of art school, then Hill to Die On, which is about the job that I was doing in the beginning. So everything, they're all written at different times, but they follow the same story.
That's so cool. I that brings to mind, like, when you're an artist, especially throughout decades, the things you make become like touchstones for yourself of where you were at in that moment.
Yes.
And it is a way of memory for yourself. Like, oh, I remember exactly where I was when I wrote that. Or, oh, I was horribly injured right after I wrote that. Something like that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think too, I mean, I've been creative partners and partners with Ian Jones-Cordy for, since 2007, so however many years that has been. But yeah, 18 years. And now everyone knows math was not, I'm mostly cartoonist. But I think too, like he's seen that for me too, and we've been working together for that too. And there are these points I was making in college. I made a comic called Pug Davis, which was like a pulpy space adventure.
I read about Pug Davis.
Oh yeah. Well, and there's a point on Steven where it just turned a corner and became fully sci-fi space stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Ian was the first to know, like, oh, it's just become Pug. Like I just keep coming back to these things that they just feel right, and I'm like, oh right, it's this again, these like original things that I had wanted to do. So I love having that.
Right.
Keep returning to. It's like when you're really coming back to yourself. There were a lot of things in Steven Universe that were really unlike my work, but then every once in a while it would come back to the kind of comics that I had started out making, and remind me what I love and who I am in this funny way. And the music feels like that too, coming back to it's coming back to a lot of the songs I wrote for the show and why I wanted to write them, and getting a chance to write like that, but for something independent is incredibly cathartic. It's I feel like I'm just, it feels like remember who you are.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I think it's you kind of like create. What am I trying to say? I think especially when you're writing and you don't want to always write the same thing, whether this is music or animating or writing, like, then I usually describe it as, oh, this is my guilty pleasure when I write this specific style.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about Other Friends. I felt like I almost wasn't allowed to do something I was having that much fun working on. Like just this full-on goofy Fleischer 30s. Oh man.
Yeah, it's funny how that works, and it's not a shame, but it's like I shouldn't do that because I feel like I shouldn't enjoy myself that much.
Yes, what is that? I know exactly what you mean, and it's so strange because why wouldn't you want to dive headfirst into the exact thing that is fun? What is that? I know exactly.
I don't know if there's any psychologists out there, let us know. Okay, we'll take a minute or two break, and then we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Mary Lee from Smith Puzzles. And about a week ago, I saw something that Miles had put up about their show, and Miles was very sweet, reached out to me, and I wanted to respond and kind of comment about the theme of today's show. I'll leave my my shameless shill for the end of this little chat. But there were two things I wanted to say to everybody out there who's trying to do art and trying to create. The first one is practice. Do it, do it, do it. I've been making puzzles now for almost 50 years. I finally feel like I'm getting a handle on it. And the thing that inspires me the most is the feeling of competence when I actually do something and I love the way it comes out. I see it in my head and it comes out on the table. And the second one that really inspires me is when people love what I do. So that's the first part. The second part is, how do you drag yourself through the problem when you can't make something come out the way you want it to? And I'm going to tell you what my late husband told me. He was a jeweler and an artist in his own right. He said the master knows when to get up and walk away from the table. The amateur stays there and becomes frustrated, but the master knows they will be able to solve it. They may not have a clear path forward in their mind right now, but they do know that they'll do it. So they walk away. So those are the two things I wanted to leave with you. Anybody who is a friend of Miles, if you want to check out my work, it's at smithpuzzles.ca. And if you like something, there is a special discount for Miles's friends. It is friend of Miles, all lowercase, no spaces, and it'll get you 30% off any of my puzzles. It runs until the end of October because I get orders that have to be delivered for the holidays and I need a little time to do it. So anyway, Miles, thank you so much. And I would love to see you if you're ever in Kingston. Come on, you know you've got an invite to come play with my group.
What is Wham? No, not these guys. Wham stands for Weekend Album Multiplayer.
A bunch of artists and musicians from around the world get together to make an album in a single weekend. Just look at all these people who worked on Wham.
Everything is a collaboration.
Wham is amazing!
They got a bird album?
Wham! Wham has 3 amazing albums out now for the low price of...
Name your price.
All proceeds will be donated to Zebra Youth, an organization that provides life-saving resources and care to LGBTQ plus youth. Go to cloudcrew.neocities.org/wham to watch the video and download the albums. Buy now! Batteries not included.
Hi, I'm Winnie, and what I really like about Wham is the...
Okay, and we are back. This next question, I think, is a pretty gritty and, I don't know, might bring up like some icky feelings. But it's also one of my favorite questions to ask because I know some of the exact moments where I felt it, which is one of the most brutal confrontations that any artist goes through is when they encounter someone who's like better at everything they're trying to do. There's always going to be somebody better. And for me, it was my first day in music school. I had come from, being the lead in musicals and, being percussion captain, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I, felt like I was on the top of the world. And then I get to music school and everybody had done the exact same thing that I had done or had done more. And I kept trying to find these qualifications of like, well, at least I'm better at this than them. And this sense of competition kicked into overdrive. And I feel like after a certain point, it just sort of eroded my brain enough where I just stopped thinking about it. But do you remember when you realized like the world was much bigger than you thought? And what was your reaction to it?
Let's see.
Or have you ever felt like a sense of competition with artists?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. I mean, I started out as an independent comic artist, so I would I was always going to small conventions and trading zines, but especially going to get advice from a lot of the people that I looked up to and give them copies of my book. So I feel like I was from very early on, interacting with people who were just on a very, very high level of skill and trying to just learn from them. And then when I did go to school, when I did go to art school, I had access to so much more of that. I had a circle of friends who I love and still love very much, and a lot of their work I was like drawn to them because of the way that their work was really different from mine, and the things that they were able to do. I mean, I saw Ian's work like when I first went to school. He was working on his thesis film, and I was just like captivated by the way that his animation moved. And it was so different than what I was inclined to do.
Yeah.
So I did find, I think related to this, when I got a chance to when I came to work on Adventure Time, some of my like absolute heroes were already working on the show, especially from independent comics, because they brought a lot of independent comics people on. So I was just like, astonished and humbled and watching what they did and learning what they did. And then when it came time to make my own show, I specifically reached out to people who I thought were worlds, leagues better than me, especially at the things that I felt I wasn't great at, because I wanted their help, but I also just wanted to create a platform to show other people what I loved about what they were doing. And I felt that Adventure Time had done that for me, so I wanted to pay that forward.
Yeah.
So I know that's not necessarily what other showrunners do. A lot of them, hope to create a final look that is what their work looks like, and then bring people in to support that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make an idea that was flexible enough that everybody involved felt free to do the kind of work that they wanted to do within the project, which I think was true for the music and the art. And actually, I think this is really relevant, I think, to the new album, because one of the things I was so stuck on with Spiralbound, and I do agree, I've had the impulse, especially as someone who made independent films and made my own comics, I felt the need to be able to do everything myself, draw, all the characters and backgrounds, do all of the writing, choose all of the color. And when I did my own films, I did do that. And I did spend years feeling frustrated and inadequate that I couldn't sit down and create something that looked like what we were able to achieve as a team of 30 to 60 people. And it's like, that's not, it's a completely different thing to do. And, a lot of times, even during the show, people would, be very complimentary about the artwork and how it looked. And, I felt like worried because like I couldn't necessarily sit down and do a piece that looked like it looked when it was inked by Danny Hines and when it was colored by Charles Hilton and when it, you got this final result. But I could draw like I drew, which was its own thing that had a home just like everybody else did inside of the show. So when it came time to do Spiralbound, I was very stuck because I was like, I don't know if I could say what my sound is. I know how I approach writing a demo, and I didn't really want to release things that sounded like demos. I wanted to release something that was final. And that was a conversation I was having with Jeff of just like, I know, my original training was really in folk music. And I was like, I know I want this to sound a little more like folk. And then he really had the production mindset of how to frame and polish and finish what I was doing without losing any of the intimacy that he saw in the work that came only from me. So I think what I realized making Lonely Magic was, especially after making Spiralbound, was that was great and it was challenging and I feel like I figured it out, but I don't actually want to work that way. I want to work with I want to work with other people who are doing the things that they do and be inspired by the things that they're doing and learning from that. And so that's really what Lonely Magic sounds like. It sounds like Jeff and it sounds like Stemage and it sounds like Ivy and Steven when they're joining me. And then the art I did for the album is the same way. I teamed up with Alex Myung and Charles Hilton to do all of the artwork, and we basically just did, we did what we would do for the show. We, we created turns and designs. I teamed up with several animation studios to make animated music videos, and I did the I did the boards. I did the stuff I do. I did boards. I cut the animatics, but I went back and forth on how the movement should be, and I was just back in my element doing what I learned to do with the team. And my favorite thing about that is working with people who are better than me
Yes.
at things that they do.
Yes.
And I had to remind myself that I can still do that, for a project that's not a giant, commercial, company owned. Like, I just, the studio work is very important though. And it's something I'm always trying to do. I can't create something on that scale on my own. I'm just feeling out and trying to find the scale that I could create on my own. And that was its own limitation, starting out. How do I tell a story, and how do I make the work that I make,
Right.
knowing that it has to be on a smaller scale, really efficiently, or it really indulgently in the parts where it can be, picking and choosing in that way.
I think, like, it's always a great reminder when, you've really tried to do everything yourself. And I think this goes back to, like, me having the sense of competition with people in music school, to then actually finding a community of people who were all, I believe, were immensely more talented than I. And instead of, feeling a sense of competition, being like, how do I make a project so I can work with them?
Yes.
And like, I think that just makes it so much better of an experience overall. Like, I have this internal drive to want to do and be able to do everything. But I think there is an even greater joy once you open yourself up to it, with working with so many amazingly talented people who can make what you want to do, 50 times better, because they are extremely proficient at whatever you want to do, and you're maybe just a little proficient at it. And plus, I don't know, people is what life is all about. Even if, I had this conversation the other day where, people bother me sometimes, but I also believe that our relationships with other people are like the point of living. And so if we can make things with other people, that is fulfilling our life's purpose. And it sounds like you've brought in a ton of amazing people to work on this new album. My question is, did you bring back the omnichord for this new album as well?
I'm actually not sure if it appears on these tracks. It's a really different approach.
Wow.
I think we experimented with that, but I think ultimately our philosophy was to create a small chamber orchestra, like a Broadway orchestra, that's performing a lot of these songs. And so we almost approached the production from a character-driven standpoint too. We wanted it to feel big but also small, and so that's where we landed, sort of philosophically. That it's a tiny dedicated orchestra that's playing these songs, even though that they're all it's all session and but that is honestly what's happening, is because Jeff Ball is playing live strings. Mason joined us on cello.
Awesome.
And bass for a few songs. So it's a very different sound, and in ways it's more connected to the Steven Universe sound because of Stemage and Ivy and Steven. The fact that Stemage had been the Mr. Universe guitar, which to me has such a particular way of sounding, and stretched my limits of my imagination as I was trying to come up with music that would ultimately reach him and reach Ivy and Steven. Working towards that and thinking about that, and that was wonderful. But approaching it from a completely different angle.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, because I think your Spiral Bound is very intimate, but it's also very lush, and it's in its own way, in this intimate, closed way. And so it sounds like you're going for a lush sound, but on a bigger stage, if that makes sense.
Yes. It's bigger.
Yes.
Jeff had also, Jeff, Ivy, and Steven had all worked with me incredibly hard on the Steven Universe movie. So that had been a full musical. And Jeff had done these really elaborate, like the orchestral opening song. Ivy and Steven had written these really, really challenging harmonies for me to sing also, for each of the diamond parts when we laid the demo down. So it was returning to a bit of that headspace. Making something a little more ornate. I wanted to feel sophisticated and magical and immersive. It's quite a different goal.
Yeah.
And I hope that I really can't wait for people to hear these songs. We worked very, very hard on them for 2 years. And I'm very proud of what we were able to accomplish.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think like even getting the chance to dedicate yourself to any project for 2 years or any amount of time, and then seeing where you're at as an artist afterwards, and even if you have moments of, I probably would have done this differently now that I know this, like, do you feel as though you've grown as a musician and as an artist after this whole experience? It sounds like you've made it. It's been a challenging experience in a good way, like in a positive, puzzle type experience.
Yeah, it was a puzzle. Yeah, I feel I've grown a huge amount as a person too, from doing this, and really realized what I want to do. That I want to be collaborating as much as I can, but also I want to be able to communicate not just with the people that I'm collaborating with, but also with the people that are going to hear the songs. I think the exercise, it's not really an exercise, but the experience of writing the commencement speech was really transformative. And that was really the next step after doing Hill to Die On, which was so much for Toby and trying to capture the experience that we had both had. After I wrote the commencement speech, what I realized is, I really want to speak to the people that are hearing this. Like, I really want to communicate to an audience. The Spiral Bound songs were so much for me, but these I want to reach out, and I want to talk to the people that are somewhere along this journey, and tell them that it's all right to be enjoying the work, and that it's also all right if it's miserable and feels horrible, because so much of the time it did, but then there's also these, through the highs and lows, you learn so much, and you connect with people through the art you make, and whether you're making it together or whether someone's receiving it. There's just so much that I'd like to say about that, and I don't really know a better way to say it than work.
Yeah, and I think something that people, especially those who aren't either like committed artists or don't, endeavor to do any types of art, I think there is no feeling like it on the planet or in the human experience than working with someone else who gets it and is in something with you. And there's this electricity you feel when you can look at them or see whatever they're typing, and you know that they are on the same level as you, and we're endeavoring we endeavor to make a package together of some kind. And I think that happens in live music too. Like, I have my brother and I, we've been playing music together. He's a drummer. We've been playing music together for 15 plus years, maybe our whole lives, but professionally, like, we toured in a band together. And I played music with him for the first time in over a year, a couple weeks ago, and I forgot how amazing it feels to just work with, play with someone and have that type of connection. Okay, with time for just one last question, I think this flows nicely, like with all of the highs and lows and how like horrible and gut-wrenching the artistic process is, and how rewarding and how much you grow as you do it. You have said that Whisper of the Heart is one of your favorite movies. It's one of my, I only saw it within the last year, and it quickly became one of my favorite movies. And like, there's this moment where Shizuku and Seiji are jamming on country roads in the violin workshop, and then a bunch of the old folks come in and start playing. And that, I cried when that happened, because it is, I think, it captures what it feels like to play music with other people so well, or just to make anything. But what do you think about it, other than that scene, that like resonates so deeply with people who do art?
Well, I think for me, the scene that scene, I love that sequence, but also when Shizuku is sitting outside while her story is being read and just waiting. Oh my gosh, like I've just been that. I've had that experience so many times, as a kid, and as an adult. Just that the way that feels is so specific. To me, I had the chance to give to do an intro for this when G Kids was releasing it, so I may repeat myself from that. But,
okay.
I think the thing, and I've given it quite some thought. The thing about that film is that it's about craft, like it's about process, and it's about honing your craft, which I think is so interesting. Like, you don't usually see. Sometimes there are stories about art and artists, but that one is specifically about craft. Even Kiki's Delivery Service is so much about like inspiration and block. But the joy of the actual craft is so much what is on display in Whisper of the Heart. And then what's fascinating to me about it is that the craftsmanship of the movie itself is so unbelievable, just on such another level. Yoshifumi Kondo's work is just so complex and rich, and obviously, like Miyazaki's boards. I mean, just everyone involved, their craftsmanship is on such a high level. And then within the film, there's characters getting inspiration from the things they're seeing with that loving, careful, meticulous craftsmanship. Like, you're seeing the characters experience that, but then you're experiencing that because you're watching the movie, and that's what the movie is.
Yes.
So that's what really gets me about it, is that it really is what it's about. And the experience of watching it is the experience the characters are having inside of it, of being inspired, wanting to make work, and wanting to do their best work, and striving to be what the artists who made the film became and did when they made the film. It's just, there's not really another movie quite like that.
There isn't. It hit me so hard, because I feel like I haven't watched a lot of movies about what it is to be an artist, but like in a joyful way. I think a lot of what pop culture will tell you is that being an artist is hard and upsetting and depressing and sad, but it is like, there's a reason why we do it, and it's because it is the ultimate joy, and there's nothing else like it. I recently, have you ever seen the movie Swing Girls? It's about this group of high school girls who accidentally poison the pep band for the baseball team, and so they have to fill in on their instruments, and then they have no interest in playing these instruments, but then they realize that they all love music, and so it's this whole film about these people learning that they love art, and I really wish there was even more media about what it's like to make something and enjoy it and love it, even though it's grueling and intense. Well, I mean, we could probably talk about this for hours and hours, but we are out of time. So your album, Lonely Magic, comes out August 29th. And where will we be able to find it?
It'll be available on all streaming platforms. There will be an animated music video coming out with the album that we have worked tirelessly on, called Ice Water. The song is called Ice Water, and it's the video for Ice Water. The single for Hill to Die On is out, and the live action music video is also out. That's available on my YouTube, which is Rebecca_Sugar on YouTube. And then the animated music video, and there'll actually be multiple animated music videos, are going to be appearing on my YouTube right now, or when the album comes out, and then also over the next couple months.
Fantastic. And do you have any like physical releases planned for it?
Yes, I'm doing a vinyl with I Am 8-Bit. They did a spiral bound vinyl as well. This one's going to be all black with silver foil.
Ooh.
Very different treatment than the stamp,
Exciting.
journal one for spiral bound. So I love working with them because their attention to detail is just really high, and they do awesome work. So yes, there will be a physical release, and there's an opening night show at Gallery Nucleus, and I'm actually gonna I've never done shirts before, so I have a shirt. There'll be a zine and a poster. That's my wheelhouse.
All right.
I'm gonna have my first shirts. I'll try to figure out if there's a way to make that stuff more widely available. I'm just not sure how to do it yet. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I greatly appreciate it, and this was an amazing conversation. And now we will go back. Yes, and now we will go back to the show.
I am not asking for your opinion. I will admit to certain selfish Barring a miracle, we aren't going home.
Green eggs and ham. The FDA is not going to be happy when they find out about this one, Sam I Am. Although, I didn't see you there. Just reading some fine literature. But you know, when I'm not reading the classics of Seuss or Berenstain, I like to listen to some groovy tunes, and if you like that too, you'll enjoy Automophonica. Small non-profit label and artist collective for energetic tunes like this one. For more details, go to automophona.ca. That's automophona.ca.
Thank you. Thank you. That's right. Well, folks, I want you to know that I'm more than just a late night show host, musician, and a dog owner. I'm also perhaps the most famous Dungeons and Dragons enthusiast on the internet. But the problem is that I have no time for a big campaign. So, I've convinced the team here at TNS to integrate just a little one into each episode. But the thing is, we only have time for one single dice roll. Where is it? So, I think it's going to be better this way. But it will be I think, the world's slowest D&D campaign. And we have the lovely Lee Williams as our dungeon master. I'm live. Hi. Oh. Well, let me just tell you what happened. Is that I left my desktop computer and a lot of my machinery running upstairs where the router is plugged in, and that did trip the breaker. So I just ran up and down the stairs a bunch of times, and now we're back. And I hope that I'll be able to hear it. I also got new headphones, which I gotta be honest, I don't know where I put. And that's the thing is that they're pretty big. Oh, here they are. See, they're much bigger. And I'm hoping that I can hear it. So we're going to try it again. And I'm so glad that all of you stuck around. And for those that left, may you be cursed for eternity. And we're going to see if we can get this going.
Do you know the god of this land?
I don't know the god of this
would
land.
Say,
I can hear it.
Aris, who blessed us with eternal glades of emerald green. The Elthiel would say, Ethus, who guides the bullets in our guns and keeps the fire in our forges. And the Vishtal, they would say, Vistus, the bearer of the sun, even as his light disappears in the darkness of their winding tunnels. Fools, all of them. Do you know the god of this land?
5 minutes?
Have you seen a town choked to death in a pillar of black smoke? Have you watched a king's fortress crumble from the shifting of the plates as he is buried in a tomb of stone and dirt? Have you seen the beggars on the street, frozen solid like statues, pleading for a better life? No, the words in the Gospels are myths, the sermons hypocrisy. The only true god of this land is the earth. Runus itself will decide your fate, whether you spend your last minutes coughing up dust as your lungs give out, or whether you get to feel the warmth of sunlight on your skin again. You're gonna die in here, kid. The words of the old man echo through your head as you are shaken from restless sleep by a caravan guard. His words are muffled by the rattling chains attached firmly to your manacles. Prisoners, out! Yells the warden, eyes hidden by a heavy metal visor. You are dragged by the daisy chain of metal, binding you and your fellow prisoners together, out of the transport brig and into fresh mud, which squelches between your toes. Your fellow inmates chuckle at your stumble, as the Siron man you had shared a cell with the night earlier helps you up to your feet. He brushes his silver hair behind his ear, which once held many beautiful piercings that now sit in the warden's vault. Are you all right? He says with a kind but weary smile. You should save your strength. We're going to need it. You see there in the darkness and fog the old man. He never said his name, only talked at the last meal. A guard presses 2 fingers to his neck and an ear to his mouth. He's done,
that was just
lucky bastard. They don't even bother to remove his manacles before tossing his corpse into a nearby ravine.
I'm having a great time.
Even in death, he remains chained. As you and the other prisoners of Cell Block Gamma stand in a line, the mud freezes around your toes, and you see your hot breath in the air as a cold front from Mount Hyperion passes in and clashes with the searing heat from Mount Ragnar. A valley of elements, you stand in the region known as the Crucible. Prisoners, at attention!
I know her.
Barks the warden, his words echoing through the cold and silent air. A gaudy carriage pulls up, its crystalline wheels untouched by grime. The gilded door clicks open, and a set of clockwork steps delicately tumble down. Out steps a man you've only seen in posters and campaign flyers, Gaius Calcinus, his delicate features obscured by an amethyst mask. He quietly clears his throat as he stretches out a hand like a candidate at the pulpit.
It's been one.
Congratulations to you, my fellow citizens of Korig, he says in a tone that seems to imply a genuine belief that this is a sterling opportunity. You have been given a chance to help our city move forward into a new dawn as the tip of the spear, the front of the brigade for the Vistus Reclamation Project. You and your fellow inmates will work hand in hand with our honor guard to brave the darkness of the tunnels and restore our once great beacon of industry to its former glory. In return, your sentence will be commuted and citizenship reinstated. Now, I don't think I have to tell you of the importance of this project, not only for yourselves, but for all the people of Korig. As he enters the crystalline carriage, he shouts, "We're all counting on you!" before the gilded door slams shut. The carriage leaves, growing tinier in the distance as it's drawn far from this hellish place. The guards shove pickaxes, shovels, and bulging sacks into your arms. The warden spits on the ground before growling his orders. Provisions for the month, make them last. You will not be given extra. If you're left behind, we will not come for you. If you fall in a fissure, we will not retrieve you. If you're buried in a cave-in, we will leave you in the dirt. Your job is simple, to mine and dig. Work hard, and you'll be rewarded. As you stand at the blasted entrance, strewn with titanic rock and pillars of obsidian, go ahead and make an athletics check to
Athletics check,
navigate
everybody.
the wreckage.
Okay, this is for all the marbles. Feels charged. Oh, hold on. I can't do that. Come on. You can't see it, but it's a 4. And so there's now there's time before we wrap up. Thank you so much, Lee, for reading that. It was incredible. We're gonna go to Adam Carey once again, and we're gonna take a little deep dive into his little twisted brain.
Soon we will have electric toilets. Then you can go to your toilet mechanic, who used to mock you for your ineptitude as it relates to the inner workings of a standard toilet, and say, "See, you don't even know how this new electric toilet works. It's just one big battery in there. If it touches your pee water, you'll die instantly." I can't wait for that.
I'm live. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today. I've got Oslo here. Oslo, oh my goodness. Yeah. Do you want to come up? So there's a lot of people that I want to thank. But before we get to that, I want to say if you have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat. And if you ask a really good one, then someone will shout it at me and I'll answer it. But I do want to say that we have worked really hard on this the past 6 months, and I'm also very glad that, you know, of course there were going to be technical difficulties, but we made it through, and I'm glad you stuck around for it. Yeah, I can thank the team that's here right now. I can thank Gunnar, who's behind the switcher right now, who's directed a lot of the tech for this and has done such an amazing job. And I've known them my whole life, if you can believe it. I can thank Adric for helping out, and especially with the amazing photography that we had done last week, which we may or may not have illegally entered a parking ramp and took a whole set of, we brought this like 100-pound TV up a staircase, and for helping with lights and props, and they've been amazing this week. And thank you to Mia, who's sitting over there, who first of all wrote and directed and edited that the Obituaries segment, but also is pretty much responsible for all of the things that you're seeing on this set. She has been working incredibly hard to make the show happen, and she's really wrangled us behind the scenes. And it's great to have a incredible type A spreadsheet person on the team who will force us to make things happen. And that, now we're doing this show.
We got a question.
Yeah, we got a question.
What is it with meeting people and then immediately asking if they've watched Swing Girls? And is this a top 5 movie for you?
It's a top 4 movie for me. I recently saw it in the last month, month and a half. Sorry, what was the question?
Why do you do that? When you meet people, you ask them about Swing Girls.
Well, Swing Girls is a great movie. It's maybe one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. I watched it in 240p on YouTube, and it still made me cry. And it has one of the greatest ending scenes of a movie I've ever seen. It's about these mischievous high school delinquents who accidentally poison the pep band for the baseball team, and then they have to pick up the instruments of the team that they poisoned, and then they learn that they love music. And the whole thing is just about learning that you love an art form, and it's incredible. Thanks for asking. And the reason why I bring it up is exactly as I just described. And so maybe watch Swing Girls in 240p. And it is in my top 4, by the way. It's on I'm on Letterboxd, Miles Morkri on Letterboxd, and you can go look at my top 4, including Rumble in the Bronx, Whisper of the Heart, Swing Girls, and the movie Cure. So again, I would also like to thank Caitlin Bruder for her help the past 2 weeks. I reached out to her on a whim, hoping that she would just be in charge of all marketing for us. And she said yes, and she's worked really, really hard these past 2 weeks to put so much stuff together. And it has been such a breath of, I don't know, fresh air, a weight off our shoulders to have someone who we love, but also who is so extremely competent at what she does. And she's also an incredible illustrator. So, if you need things drawn or graphics whipped up, give her a holler. I can shout out Andrew Schenkman, he was the one that this whole idea started with about 1.5 years ago. And whenever I have a scheme, I usually talk to 1 or 2 people, and he was always one of them. And I can always count on him to be on board with pretty much anything that I'm bringing to him, and it's vice versa as well. Whenever he has an idea, I am always game. And Tenby, with our amazing music that we've had going this whole time. At some point, I think he's going to release a collection of the music that he's written for this. But he knocked it out of the park. I gave him like 2 sentences, and he just crushed it immediately, like the first thing he sent. And of course, Adam Carey. And I'm sorry for saying that he's got a sick little twisted brain, but I do think he does. And he is consistently funny and sweet and just such a lovely person to work with. And I don't know, I just kind of brought a lot of my friends in, and it makes me happy to do the show. I also want to thank, I want to thank the viewers at home. And if you want to support the show, because again, we have not accepted any money to make this show. There are no grants. There is no sponsorship. There is just us and our bank accounts. And we're going to be doing this once a month, if you can believe it. I don't know if I believe that yet, but we're going to do it. And so please, there is a QR code that will appear after I'm done talking, and there's also links everywhere. If you go to linktree/tonightisa-night, or if you go to tonightisa-night.com, you'll find all of our links there. We're going to upload this whole show, minus the tech breakdown in the middle, tomorrow, hopefully, and various clips as well. Am I missing anyone? Thank you to all the people that I have shouted at about this show, and specifically talked to repeatedly. I would say Sarah is one of those people who I've just sort of spurted all of the information about it. I do want to say a very special shout out to Rebecca Sugar for joining us for this episode, especially the first episode after, of course, our long break, because we were forced on a hiatus, whatever. We had such an amazing conversation, and it just it filled me with so much, both inspiration, but also just I left thinking about so many things. And it's been a couple weeks since we recorded that interview. So please go listen to their new album, which comes out in 2 days. It comes out on Friday. So please give it a listen. There's a bunch of music videos out for it already, and it is coming out really, really special. Do we have any more questions? No questions?
Was tonight a night?
Remains to be seen.
You gotta restate the question.
Oh, was tonight a night is the question. Listen, this is the first time I'm doing this. How old is Oslo? 6, I think. I think he's 6. Oz, come here. Everybody give a big shout out to Oslo. He wanted to come into the set so bad.
What's his favorite word and favorite smell?
What's his favorite word? Oh, goodness. His favorite smell? I don't know. He's an enigma. But his favorite word is probably his name. He loves that word. And now he's giving me kisses. Okay. Yeah. I hope that answers that.
Did you say smell?
Smell?
Yeah.
He's like I said, he's an enigma. He likes beef, various meats. He loves.
How'd you meet Rebecca Sugar?
I can't say that. I'm not going to repeat the question. So we're going to do this once a month, and I hope you join us. I know how this is very casual right now, but I'm such a serious person. And I hope you treat me seriously, and that you give us $1,000 at least. Just one of you gives us, and then a bunch of you gives us $1,000 individually. And then we'll have multiple $1,000. And they're telling me to wrap it up. I've run out of time because I'm scrambling and I have no energy and I haven't slept. So,
Will you be playing the Riddler in an upcoming Batman film?
I won't be playing the Riddler. They've kind of decided not to do that, but instead I'll be playing a character called the Goofer, who is kind of a mix between the Riddler and the Joker. And now I'm wrapping it up. The acids want us to stop, and I want to stop. So I'm going to say good night. I'm glad you all made it, and I do think tonight has been a night.